I'm the youngest of 3 boys in my family. There's no sisters. And believe it or not, there were times in our family, and I reflect on it on a day like today and thinking about my mom, there were times in our family where the 3 of us didn't get along. I don't know if you can imagine that or not, that siblings growing up in a household that might argue sometime or could instigate one another or be kind of ornery with each other. Maybe kind of like hitting or chasing or whatnot. Something I learned very quickly being the youngest, and even though I'm 6'4", but I'm the littlest one in my family, something I learned very quickly was when the other 2 started chasing me, I just went right to the ground, and I just yelled, "Mom," very quickly. She always came, too, and she had to be very fair. But in our family, whenever we had differences, and sometimes it wasn't always real pretty with, again, 3 boys kind of competing for things, always together, kind of trying to be molded into one, I think it frustrated my parents when we didn't get along. Probably one of the greatest pains of a parent is when your children don't get along, when there's problems in the household, whether the children are younger or whether the children are older. Even for someone who is in their senior years to have adult children who are arguing, it's kind of painful because you want the family to be at peace. You want the family to be together. So I always remember my mom one time said words that they resonate with me to this day, and I'm very grateful to her on this Mother's Day. She's deceased now, but I always remember that she said, "You know, guys, there's going to come a day when your father and I are not going to be here. There's going to come a day when we're not going to be here, and it's going to be up to you to make sure you have a relationship with each other. So you may not like each other all the time, but you need to love each other." I'm glad she said that. It was very wise because it really did resonate with me, and today with my brothers, even though we're not really phone talkers, it seems as we're getting older, we talk less and less. We text every so often, but we do make sure we visit. At least once a year, we get together, and it's amazing when you love someone. When you visit with them, you just pick right up where you left off. There's just a great history and a caring that you don't have to go through all of the nonsense of kind of getting reacquainted. Even if it's been a year and a half that I haven't seen my brother up in Maryland or my sister-in-law, we just right away kind of connect in a special way. So I'm grateful to my mom today that she did instill that in us. And I hope that if there's children here, whether we're young children or adult children, what a great gift to give to our parents on this Mother's Day would be to ensure that you're getting along with your other siblings. Whatever differences there might be, try to put them aside. Try to work them out. That would bring great joy. Jesus wanted to make sure that his children, the apostles, also got along. He realized that they may not always like each other, but he did ask them to love each other. Our gospel reading today from the 15th chapter of John's gospel is really a continuation of these past weeks. Last week we heard that Jesus said he was the vine and we are the branches. And so as a result, we know we're connected to him. We know he loves us. He keeps us nearby to him. He keeps us in personal, intimate relationship with him. And so as a result, what he says to us today is, now go forth and give that love to others. The love of God is amazing, my friends. The love of God is amazing because God loves us most even in our weaknesses. When we are at the pit, at the bottom of the barrel, when we have possibly even hurt him, he loves us so much that he gives us mercy, forgiveness, that he calls us back into relationship with him. He'll even leave the 99 on their own so we can go and find the one that is lost. That's incredible love for each and every person. So God's love for us is very deep. Even if we feel we've been away from him in some way, he's always calling us back. And today in the gospel he says, this is my commandment. Once again, he didn't say this is my suggestion, or this is kind of what I'm asking. Be nice to one another. He says, love one another as I have loved you. So even with those people in our life who maybe are away from us, they've strayed, how do we go about bringing them back? Jesus said, I do not call you slaves, because a slave does not know what his master is about, but rather I call you friends. You see, slavery is a relationship that's forced. But our relationship with God is not forced. It is special. It is chosen. We choose our friends. And so Jesus is saying today, I chose you. Jesus chose each one of us. So no matter where we are at in our relationship with him or with others, just relish the fact that you have been chosen. You have been chosen by God to do something very special, and that is to be his disciple. God chose each one of us, brought us into this world through the gift of our mother, through the gift of our parents as co-creators with God. Bring us into this world to be able to love. And so when we're feeling maybe kind of down, maybe on a day where we've done something sort of dark, or we're feeling alone, or perhaps we're really kind of not really having a great day. You wake up in the morning and the car doesn't start, or something happens at work, or you realize that you put your shirt on the wrong way, whatever it might be. Kind of stop and say, you know what? You're chosen by God. Every human person chosen by God. Each one of us different. Each one of us, like in a special way that God made us unique, and he poured himself into us. What a beautiful thought. That God loves us so much now he asks us to go as chosen people, all of us, to then go forward and to share the gift of his love. Now I know you're saying, Father, that's all great and wonderful. But there's some people in my life that are not real lovable. I don't know if you have them in your life or not, but there might be somebody who, maybe they're not unlovable, but they're not real likable. But God asks us to get over that, to be able to work out the differences we have and to try to express his love. And one way to do that is specifically to name that person to God. Name that person. Say, Lord, I have a real hard time loving so-and-so. Just between you and God. Don't tell your neighbor. Don't tell your other family members. That's like gossip. And you know what? That's like very raw and not something good. It spreads like wildfire. You don't have to go into detail, but tell God in your heart and say, God, can you help my heart to be bigger than what it is? Can my heart be like yours? Because God's heart is very big to love. So if we're having issues with someone, we name them to God and say, God, help my heart to love this person. When we ask something of God, he gives it to us. When we ask boldly, he's even more generous. So today, as we hear these words, maybe it's a good chance to think of, how do we love? Whether you're a mother on this beautiful Mother's Day, to think of your children and give thanks to God for the love maybe that you have given. But also maybe as each one of us as disciples to think of the gift of love we give to one another. Because one day we're going to stand before God. And I don't think that when we get to heaven, after passing through purgatory, having some time to think about what we've done and about our lives, I don't think that we're going to stand there before St. Peter and Jesus and the Blessed Mother. And I don't think he's going to want us to just read a laundry list of all the good deeds that we did. You know what? That would be pretty boring. I think God expects that of us. He expects us to do good deeds. He expects us to be generous. He expects us to try to work out our daily differences. Rather, what he's going to ask us as we stand before him is very simply, how did you love? How did you love? Maybe now is a good time to start thinking about the answer to that question here and now, today.